Hey guys, what's up? I'm Morgan and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate all this new company and all the new subscribers. Thank you so much. If this is your first time here, or if you're here and you're loving these videos, make sure that you are giving it a thumbs up. And also, if you want to see more of my videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, plus hit the notification bell so that you're notified for all of my future uploads. That was a lot. And one more thing, if you go to my description box, I have a link down there for you to download my very first free copy of my 5-day fashion branding checklist. And in this checklist, you'll basically be going through the steps to discovering your brand identity, which is crucial for any brand, especially new brands. So if you are starting a clothing line or a boutique and you just are kind of confused about where you fit in, this download is definitely for you. Again, it's free, it costs nothing, and it'll come straight to your email. So check that out if you are interested. Now, let's get into the 5 P's of market research. The first P that we're gonna cover is people. People is really important. And the people I'm talking about is you as a brand owner and your customer. There has to be a clear line of communication between you and your customer. So when you're doing market research for your customer, I think that's a very critical thing when it comes to who your products are going to be sold to, like who is actually looking at your products. So understand that you need to understand who you're selling to and why you're selling to them, because that is going to be the person you're going to be marketing to time and time and time again until your audience becomes a lot more open, and you have to shift your marketing scheme just a little bit to tweak it to fit your growing business. But understanding who you are as a business owner and who your customer is, and then aligning the two to where you see eye to eye with your customer and your customer sees eye to eye with you as a brand owner that's directing your brand, you'll be more inclined to sell more products if you understand who you are selling to. That was a lot. The second P that we're going to cover is place. Now, the place is important because you need a place to host all of your merchandise, all of your product, whatever it is that you're going to be selling. You need a place to host that. So you need to understand that as a business owner, you need to find out very fast what is going to work for you and what is going to work for your customer. And again, going back to understanding your customer or who your customer is that you're trying to reach, it will better help you figure out where your customer navigates to at all times. So if you are a fashion brand, chances are you would want a website that that hosts all of your product, because it's a lot easier when you have a very focused website with all your products and different tabs that go to different parts of your parts of your product, and so it's a lot easier to find. So I would say focus on a website, and then if you don't have a website, there's always direct customer selling, which is online, which I see a lot through social media, especially on Instagram and Facebook. It's basically selling directly to your customer through DM. I personally don't recommend this, but I've seen it done and it works, so I'm not going to count it out because it does work for some people. I would say use this as your place of selling if you are someone who is very new, and I mean very, very new, like a baby to the industry, and you are selling like one-off type pieces, like one of one. You just made one and you're trying to sell it, or if you make small products that you're trying to sell fast, I would say this is a great way to sell those things directly through DM. It is a bit much because it's too much communication. I feel like it's almost borderline unprofessional when you could save up the money from those sales and in turn go to a website that is going to host it, so your customer doesn't really have to go back and forth with you as a brand owner when trying to make a sale, because those type of sales through DM, there's a process. The person sees the person sees the product on your page, and then the person DMs you. After they DM you, you have to write them how they're gonna get the product, what it's gonna take, and then you're gonna wait for a response from the customer again. And after you wait for the response, then you're gonna have to send the invoice, depending on where the customer is going to be sending the invoice, whether it's PayPal, Venmo, Zelle Pay, Cash App, however you're going to be receiving the money for you to get that. So after they do all of that, you're going to have to confirm that it's there, and then communicate with your customer when it's shipping. And then if they paid extra for the shipping, then you're going to have to go back and say, oh, if you want tracking, you want this. So it's just a lot of back and forth between brand owner and customer when you do sales through DM, because again, it's a little bit risky. You don't know. And I feel like on a website, it's a little bit more secure in a sense of you're just clicking adding to cart, paying, checking out, and everything is laid out for you right there in the confirmation. There's really no communication as far as like you having to talk directly with somebody to get your product. So really understand that the place, that type of thing could be a little sketchy when you're doing direct sales. Unless you have a good rep for doing so and you're getting reviews, then, you know, go for it. Also, another place you want to consider is pop-up events and retail, actual physical locations. Now, pop-ups, people have a problem with pop-ups sometimes because they say they don't want to do the pop-ups because their audience isn't that large, but I personally feel like that's the point of a pop-up. Now, don't count yourself out as a new brand. I feel like if you are a new brand, what you can do is host your own parties. Gather your friends who are in business. They don't have to be in the fashion business, but gather your friends who have their own business that they run solely by themselves, that they're trying to start up as well, and create a little event. It could be like a house event, house party event, or rent a small studio space in your city and bring all of those people together and host an event, because that is going to bring in new customers. Whether you believe it or not, somebody is going to walk in there that has never seen your product before, and they're going to be like, oh wow, that's cool, and you have gained a new customer. If that's one person, you gain one person. If it's 20, you gain 20 people. But don't be afraid of pop-up events. If you have the opportunity to do one, do it. No matter how much product you have, you want people to see your product, okay? That's the whole point of actually having a place to sell your product. You need new faces on your product at all time, okay? So the first P was people, and we covered that, which is the conversation between you as a brand owner and the customers, that clear line of communication. And then we covered the place, which could be online, it could be direct sales through social media, it could be a physical location, it could be pop-up events, and so on. So we're gonna move into the third P, and the third P is your actual product, okay? So now that you have your customer, you know who that person is, now that you have figured out where you want to do these sales, your product is going to come into play really, really quick, okay? And I feel like if you have a product and you don't know how to sell it, then you're in the right place. And again, download that free checklist down below. It'll really help you out. There's a lot of questions in there that really help you get you thinking about your brand and you as a brand owner. So go ahead, download that link. But when it comes to your product, when you're doing market research for your product, what you want to do are two different things when it comes to boutique owners and cut and sew labels, because I feel like the research is going to be very different. Not very, but a little bit different, and I'm going to explain the two. So for boutique owners are usually wholesale buyers. So you're buying wholesale and you're adding those pieces to your website or your Instagram or Facebook, wherever it is that you're going to be adding those products. But before you add those products, you need to do market research, and do the market research first, starting at your actual location. If you can become like really cool in your hometown and get people buying from your hometown, that's going to boost your business so much, because you're going to be a recognizable brand within your own city. If you cannot do that and you strictly want to do online, you can do that as well. But the first thing you want to do when it comes to product research for your market is look at the brands that are similar to yours, and after you figure out the few that are similar to you, you want to go and dissect those brands. And I mean fully dissect them. Go to their websites, go to their social media accounts, and really look at how they're interacting with people, but also look at the product. You don't skip out on looking at the product, because if you are buying wholesale, chances are another boutique is going to be buying wholesale, those same wholesale pieces that you have. But the thing that's going to separate you from the brands that are similar to you or selling the exact same things is your demographic. And that's why I said the first thing that you want to recognize is who you want to sell to, which is your customer. Do not forget about your customer, okay? Because one boutique that's selling the same thing as you could be selling very trendy pieces, but it caters to the audience that they're trying to sell it to, as opposed to you buying that same trendy piece and it doesn't work for you because your audience is very different. So don't skip out on knowing which person or what type of person you want to sell to, okay? And also when it comes to fashion boutiques, you want to look at the functionality of your items, meaning how, like, the usability of it. And when I say usability, I mean how often is somebody going to wear this piece that you're selling? That comes down to real life like scaling your business when it comes to the usability of your products, because I feel like most fashion boutiques skip that one very important step because they sell trendy piece after trendy piece after trendy piece, and then they start losing customers because everybody's selling trendy pieces, and then it comes down to you competing with price points, and you don't want to be that type of person. So sell things that are going to be functional for your customer as opposed to those super trendy pieces that don't work for everybody. I'm not saying don't buy trendy pieces, but I'm saying when you buy those trendy pieces, make sure that those trendy pieces fit your actual audience, and you're not just trying to compete with other boutique owners, because that becomes a whole mess and you're going to be focused on that and you're focusing on the wrong thing. You should be focusing on your customer when it comes to product research. So focus on that customer, look at that customer, and really tear that customer apart all the way down to like how often this person wears denim, or how often this person buys coats or sneakers or boots. Really pull that together in your product research, because it's going to help you become a better fashion buyer for your brand overall. And if you're a better fashion buyer, that means you're going to be having better customers at the end of the day. Now, for cut and sew designers that have their own labels, it's a little bit different. For you, I would not ever tell somebody who has their own private label to look at how boutiques are running their business, because the price points are clearly different. There's always going to be a different price point when it comes to boutiques and your own actual product that you're making. Boutiques, they upsell the product because they're buying the product for a certain price. They're also buying them in packs most of the time. So for you as a cut and sew designer, you don't want to have your fabric and trims and all of your equipment at the same price point as a boutique, because clearly you've probably spent a little bit more, or you could have spent less actually sometimes, but the price points are going to be different. So your product research comes down to your actual niche in the fashion market. If you are designing athletic wear, you need to go and look at athletic companies that are doing the same thing as far as cut and sew and not buying the pieces. You need to look at those type of designers and really go and look at why the customers are attracted to that, as opposed to why they are not attracted, why they aren't coming to you when you're selling similar items. And the chances are, when you're doing that type of product research, you're gonna find out that the customers that are focused on certain brands, they are there because it's either trendy in your market or it's functional. Like, they're going off of pure functionality or trends. And when I say functionality, it comes down to the aesthetics of the functionality and usefulness of those pieces. So it comes down to your branding overall, and then it comes down to, do I really want it? So that's going to be your product research. It's a completely different approach from people that are buying wholesale for their fashion boutiques. So in comparison, there are very different ways to do that product research. But if you are cut and sew designer and your price points are similar to boutiques, then it's going to come down to what your images look like overall. So that is the third thing. We have people, we have place, and we have product. The next thing we're going to move into is the fourth P, which is price. Price is crucial, okay? Now, I'm one of those people that believe that everything is not for everybody. So I don't believe in making prices that are going to strictly cater to a certain person at a certain time, because you're always going to be focused on, is this too much? Am I underselling? Am I selling at the right price point? You want to price your products accordingly. I have a video about that. I'll link it here or up here somewhere. I have a video about how to price your products accordingly. But overall, when it comes to price, your price should reflect, again, your customer. You see how I keep going back to this whole customer thing? If you don't understand your brand and your customer, you're never gonna figure out the pricing, because you need to understand your customer. And that, when I say customer, a part of the market research for your customer is to go into the demographics, is to go into the lifestyle of that customer. So when you're doing your price point for your customer, your ideal customer, it's gonna be a lot easier, because you're gonna be making garments that are suitable for the lifestyle of your customer, as opposed to you making garments that are priced a certain way and you're trying to market to someone who clearly cannot afford your stuff or who undervalues your stuff. So when you're pricing your things, price it according to your branding and your ideal customer. If you don't have an ideal customer and you're very, very new and you kind of are still lost and confused about who you want to sell to, price it according to how you want to price it, obviously as a brand owner. But when you start seeing certain patterns and certain types of patterns of how your customers are interacting with you and certain images, that's how you figure out your price point, because you'll notice a lot of times that people like the same type of things when it comes to a certain type of brand. It's usually a certain thing that you cling on to. And so you'll notice a certain pattern when it comes to your images. How many likes are you getting on something? How many comments you're getting on something? Who's engaging with what? And that's going to be your customer in there engaging with you. So look at that person. Look at why they're doing that, why they're behaving that way. And it'll create a behavioral pattern when it comes to you pricing your items. Okay, so look at that standpoint. Now, the last P, which is the 5th P, is going to be promotion. And I put promotions last because I feel like after you understand your customer, which is the person, after you understand where you're selling it, which is the place, after you understand your product, which is you have a product to sell to the person and to put at a place where that person is gonna go, after you understand your products, and then after you understand the price point of those products, you really need to understand how to use all those 4 things above promotions in order to upscale your business. Now, when you're upscaling your business, it doesn't mean just go crazy and start selling things for like $10,000, $1,000, when your original price point area is like $250, $450. It doesn't mean go crazy with promotions. Promotions strictly means understand when you need to run ads, have advertising, when you need to create an upsell on your website, or when you create an upsell on your social media accounts, meaning you're creating demand around a certain product to get your customer more engaged. Meaning you have, what is it called? User testing. When you have certain products, you can actually have special offers where people can dive right into your brand and get something for a very low price, just to see how your customers are going to interact when you start seeing those pictures float around the internet, because that's why you have user testing. That's what beta is, pretty much. It's user testing. And so you have a demand. When it comes to promotions, you are creating a demand around a certain product, or you're creating a demand around your full brand, like the full scope of your brand, and you're advertising things so that you can, 1, get emails, or 2, get one product that isn't selling so well selling, or 3, selling your high ticket items that people are always buying, like your best sellers. So focus on your promotions. The promotions are always going to get you new customers. I do this with my brand. I don't have a lot of sales throughout the year because I am a swimwear designer. Also because I don't believe in having sales all the time, because then you're gonna have to rely on customers that only are there for sales. Don't do that. But I do have promotions, meaning I do advertise something more so at a certain time of year than I would at another, meaning that I do create upsells on my website. If something is selling, I'm gonna have another similar item that is close to the cart that they can see, because that's how you create more sales. But it also creates a behavioral pattern within your customer base, so that your brand is growing based off of your customers' behavior when they're interacting with your brand. That sounded like a lot. And also the last part of the promotion are what I consider recommendations. If you can grow your business off of a referral type thing, or like word of mouth, you're going to be winning all the time. So when you get people to share your items, when you get people to share your products, when you get people to come to your website and leave reviews, that is gold. So I would say focus on that a lot when it comes to promotion. Get people to talk about your brand. If you can create movement throughout individuals, like individual people, create a movement through that, you're going to have demand around your brand all the time, and people are going to come to you time and time again, because people like other people's feedback before they actually rely on your feedback as a brand owner, because it's your brand, if that makes sense. But yeah, we've covered all the 5 top marketing research principles, and that is people, place, product, pricing, and promotion. If you guys like this video, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified for future videos. Also hit the description box and there's a link below for you guys to download my free 5-day fashion branding checklist so you can discover your brand's identity with ease. Okay, so go ahead and do that. I'll see you guys on my next video. Peace. Thank you.